Hello everyone. Welcome. Hello. Hi everyone. Welcome to a new live stream. How's it going? I hope everything is great. Hola, bienvenidos a un nuevo en vivo. ¿Cómo están todos? Espero que estén muy bien. Today we're going to learn 5 common phrases in Spanish. This is episode 15. So, man, time flies. If you want to watch previous episodes, you can just browse my channel. You can search Spanish lessons, 5 common phrases, episode 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and you will find them for sure. Okay, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I live stream. I want to give a big shout out to our Cafecito members. Sorry about that. To our Cafecito members, Christopher Michael, Rubin. Hang on, it's going too fast. It's going too fast. Christopher Michael, Ruby Brockenberry, Brianna L., Gregory Ramirez, Michael Lee, Robert Green, David Bieber, Nick Ross, also Regulation D, Juanco Juan, and Roy W, David, and also Greta Work, also Eoin. Thank you guys. Thank you for getting a Cafecito membership. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. If you want me to give you a shout out and support this channel, you can also get the membership that I have on this channel. It's called Cafecito membership, so you can read about it, more about it, if you click on the join button down below. Excellent. Remember that I'm live streaming, so if you want, you can ask questions. You can say hola. You can practice your Spanish. You can share more examples as well. The only thing you gotta do is subscribe to this channel. That's for free. So just click on the subscribe button. Hello, great at work. About to leave work and it's nasty out. See you in 30 minutes. Well, drive safe. Great at work. Thank you for stopping by. And for sure, I think I'm going to be here for an hour or so. So yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere. Thank you, Great at Work, for your message. So yeah, we're going to talk about five common phrases. Spanish phrases, of course. And they're going to be basic. Some of them are basic. Some of them are a little less basic, more advanced. But overall, they're all commonly used. So it's good to learn them for sure. And we will break everything down. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about, am I going to understand what's going on? Don't you worry. And if you have any questions, please feel free to use the live chat. Excellent. So let's learn the first phrase. The first phrase that we have here. Let's see what we have. The first phrase is ponerse a. Ponerse a. Ponerse a. So this is a verb. It's like a phrasal verb. And this is the verb poner. Poner. Oops. Where is my red marker? Here it is. Poner. Poner. Poner is a verb, a very common verb that means quite a few things. It means to put or to place something on a table, for example. Also to set, if you need to, for example, set the table before eating. Poner is a very common verb. Also, it means to turn on a device or something like a television, some electronic device, something like that. Voy a poner la televisión. I'm gonna turn the TV on. Also, it means to apply if you put some cream on, for example, on your body, some body cream. You can say, voy a ponerme la crema. I'm going to apply the cream or just put some cream on. So yeah, poner means quite a few things, but don't worry about that right now. I just wanted to let you know in case you want to know more about the verb poner. But ponerse a is a completely different thing. Also, we have se, which means that you can use reflexive pronouns. You can also use se, of course, and you can say ponerme, ponerte, ponernos. So yeah, you can use reflexive pronouns with this verb in this situation with this phrasal verb. And also a is a must. You need to have a, ponerse a. So it makes sense, okay? So what is the meaning? What is the meaning of this phrase? Let's see. The meaning is to start doing something. It's a very, very simple verb that means, or phrase that means to start doing something. For example, you will start working on something. Okay, you can start, I don't know, cooking something. Okay, so it's similar to saying that ponerse a means to start doing something, a thing, right? So usually you will have the phrase ponerse a, and then you will likely have to add a verb, another verb. For example, trabajar, to work, correr, to run. So it's a very, very interesting phrase. When you use the second verb after saying ponerse a, you don't have to conjugate that verb. You can use it in the infinitive form, which means do not conjugate it, just leave it as is. So let's look at some examples using ponerse a. Ponerse a. Ellos se pusieron a trabajar. Ellos se pusieron a trabajar en el proyecto. Ellos se pusieron a trabajar en el proyecto. So you can see here really clearly the phrase that we're talking about, pusieron a. Pusieron a. Now, of course, this is conjugated. This is conjugated. Remember, if you want to use this phrase, you need to know the conjugation of the verb poner. So now let me tell you that poner is an irregular verb. So it has its own conjugation, so it has some irregularities. So just keep that in mind if you want to use this phrase. Okay, so let's break this down. Let's see the meaning first of this sentence. Let's see what this means. This means they started working on the project. Very easy, nothing complicated. It's a very easy example. Let's break this down and let's see how this sentence works. Okay. Ellos means they, okay? They. Ellas with an A, okay? With an A means they, but feminine, okay? Ellos refers to they masculine and also a mixed group of people, okay? So ellos se pusieron, and we can see here we're using se, Okay. Ellos se pusieron. So the se that we have here, it's over there. Okay. Before the verb. That's the thing with reflexive pronouns. Sometimes you can put them before the verb, and sometimes you can attach that to the verb. So it becomes pretty much just one word. Okay, so it becomes one word. For example, ponerte, ponerme, ponerles. Okay, so the endings les, me, te, that is the reflexive noun that is just pretty much attached to the verb. Okay, ellos se pusieron a. They started working. Well, here the translation is a bit tricky because ponerse a is just a general term to say that you're gonna start doing something. Okay, so we're very vague about it, but here when you say se pusieron a, that means started doing something. Okay, so in this case, trabajar. Trabajar. This is the second verb I was telling you about, and it's not conjugated. It's in the infinitive form. So don't you worry about conjugating the second verb when using the phrase ponerse a. Okay, so working in English you have the gerund. In Spanish you no, it's different. It's different. En has many meanings. It means in, on, at, in the situation, on. Okay. El, it's an article, definite article, masculine, by the way. El, the, proyecto. Some people pronounce the Y letter similar to the sound Y in English, like yellow, for example. Proyecto. Some people pronounce the letter Y similar to the J sound in English. So proyecto. Both are okay. So don't worry about that. There's some flexibility there. And proyecto means project. So, ellos se pusieron a trabajar en el proyecto. They started working on the project. So, did you notice that we have the letter a here? So, that is this, okay? And pusieron is the verb ponerse, okay? Se, reflexive pronoun, and we have it here. Okay, but it's just as a reference. You can put it before the verb. No problems. No problem with that for sure. Okay, so that's the first example. Let's look at another example using this phrase. Okay, the second example is me puse a estudiar para el examen. And I believe examen needs, oh no, it doesn't need a tilde. Okay, my bad. It's okay. Me puse a estudiar para el examen. Me puse a estudiar para el examen. So what does this mean? This means I started studying for the exam. Okay? So, let's see. When you're about to get ready to do something, you can use this verb because you're going to start doing something, right? So if you want to let someone know, hey, I'm going to be busy because I'm going to be doing this, or I'm going to start working on this or studying or whatever, this verb or this phrase, ponerse a, is great. It's great for those specific situations. Okay, so me puse, me is a reflexive pronoun. That means, I. Okay, it's similar in the situation to saying I. I know that I in Spanish is yo, but me is also very commonly used to say I. For some, in some situations and specific verbs. For example, the verb gustar in Spanish means to like. And you use me when using that verb, when you want to say I like. Me gusta, I like. Okay, so it's similar. This is a similar situation where the verb poner works really well with this reflexive pronoun me. Me puse a. Me puse a. Here is the phrase that we are learning right now. And remember to include the reflexive pronoun. Me puse a. I started doing something. Okay. So now we're going to specify what you're going to do in this situation. Estudiar. Estudiar. This is the second verb and it's not conjugated, if you notice, right? Just like we did here. Sorry. And estudiar means to study. In this situation, it's similar to saying studying, the gerund in English. Para means for. El, again, masculine, definite article. The examen. The X sound in Spanish is it's quite similar to the English one, the X sound in English, but it's, I would say it's almost the same. Examen. Okay, so let's pay attention to the pronunciation there. And examen means exam. Okay, so almost the same. It's almost the same. Examen, exam. Very, very similar. Okay, so remember, ponerse a means to start doing something. It's a common, very common phrase / verb that you can use in Spanish. If you're about to start doing something, you can use this verb for those situations. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, let's continue. Now, the second phrase that we're going to learn is volver a. Volver a. It's a very common thing to add a to certain Spanish verbs. Volver a, empezar a, ponerse a. Okay, so it's a common thing to do in Spanish. Not all the time, but it's just a common thing that could happen. So volver a, volver. Remember, the V sound in Spanish is very similar to the B as in bell sound in English. So volver, volver a. Volver is a verb, by the way. This one right here. Volver is a verb. And this verb has some meanings. Volver means to return, to come back. Okay, so if you are coming back to a place, you can use this verb. Or if you are, returning as well, you can use the verb volver. And when you add a, the meaning changes. The meaning changes. Volver a, volver a. It changes a little bit, not like a lot, but it changes. It does. So volver a means to do something again or to do something over. Okay, so if you have to do something again because something happened, you forgot what you made back at home and you have to do something or make something again, you can use this verb for those situations, in those situations. So keep that in mind, that when you add a, you are saying, when you add a to volver, volver a means that you are doing something again. Okay, so if you want to use, if you want to use this verb, let me tell you that volver is an irregular verb. So it has some irregularities. You need to know its conjugation for sure. It can be irregular. It is an irregular verb. So just keep that in mind. Let's look at some examples using volver a, volver a. So the first example is, volvió a llamar a su amigo. Volvió a llamar a su amigo. And this means she called her friend back or again. So we're talking about doing something again, doing something over. In this situation, we're talking about someone having to call someone back because maybe she missed the call, or maybe it's very likely that she just missed the call. So in that situation, you can use volver a, volver a. So let's break this down. Let's see how this verb works, or phrase rather. I mean, it's both pretty much. Okay, volvió, volvió. You could say ella volvió. Okay, ella means she, but I don't have it here because in Spanish, we do not use personal pronouns all the time. We don't say yo, ella, él, él, nosotros, vosotros. No, we don't say them all the time unless we want to specify. Okay, so volvió means she called. Okay, now let's right, hang on a second. Volvió a means she did something again. Okay, she did something again. I'm not including called because when we just talk about this verb just like that, volver a, it's very vague. We're not saying what this something is, but we know that it has to happen again. This person had to do something again. So volvió a refers to that. And then when you add the verb, the action, what is she doing again? Then we can add a second verb that it has to be in the infinitive form. So do not conjugate it. Just leave it as is. You leave the verb as is. Keep that in mind. So volvió a llamar means she called again. Okay, I know in English you have present tense, so past tense, called. She called, right? But we have the past tense in volver, okay? We don't have it here. Llamar means to call. So you need to have, when using two verbs in Spanish, you have to have the first one conjugated and the other one will not be conjugated, okay? So that's why we have volvió, perfect tense, past tense, and then we have the second verb not conjugated, okay? So volvió a llamar a, well, by the way, llamar a is another phrase by itself, phrasal verb. That means, you know, when you call someone on the phone, okay? When you call someone on the phone, or when you're just calling someone, like saying, "Hey, Miguel, I need to talk to you." You're getting your friend's attention. You're calling your friend. You're saying his name out loud because you want him to come where you are, or whatever, something like that. So it's a common thing. I actually talked about this one, llamar a, in the last stream. On the last stream, I was talking about this, so feel free to browse my channel to find that one. Yeah, that stream was pretty recent. Okay, so when you say volvió a llamar a, that means she called again, okay? And then a just refers to, hey, I'm going to add more information to the sentence. I'm going to tell you who she needed to call, you know, in the first place. And so su, we have su, her, that's what it means. It can mean his as well. Amigo, very common. It's a very common Spanish word that means friend. Okay. Volvió a llamar a su amigo. She called her friend again. Okay. So it's very interesting how the sentence works, how Spanish works in general, because we have the conjugation here, not here. And in English, you have it here. And then you just add again, right? So it's completely different, I mean, it's Spanish and English, both are different, completely different languages. That's why it's not a good idea to translate word by word, because sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, so let's look at the next example using volver a. Volvieron a ver la película. Volvieron a ver la película. So this means they watched the movie again. Okay, maybe they really loved the movie and they wanted to watch it again, and that's a total, I mean, it makes sense. It makes total sense. You can do that, right? So you can do things over for many reasons. So let's break this down and let's see how the sentence works. Volvieron, ellos volvieron. We don't need ellos unless you want to be very specific. Maybe you want to say ellas, feminine they, okay? But volvieron means they. We included that. By the way, volvieron doesn't, I mean, it's just, it doesn't mean they. Volvieron a means they did something again. Once again, we are very vague. I cannot tell you specifically, you know, here's the literal translation, because it just doesn't work. It doesn't apply. But when you say volvieron a, so you're just saying that they did something again. Okay, I have that information. Now, we are adding ver. Ver is the second verb that we can add after the phrase, right? And that means, ver means quite a few things. It means to watch, it means to see, it means to look at, okay? It depends on the situation. In this specific situation, it means watched, okay? And once again, in English, you have this verb watched or watch conjugated in present tense, past tense. It already passed, but in this particular scenario in Spanish, you have to conjugate the first verb, which means this one, volver, because you're using it, and the second verb you don't, okay? Now, la vi película. Película means movie. Película. Remember the right intonation. We have an accent mark as well on the letter I. Película. If we didn't have the tilde or the accent mark, it would be pronounced like película. And it doesn't make sense. So just remember to add the accent mark, película, just to have good grammar. Okay? So volverá, remember, volverá means to do something over, to do something again. It could be because you have to, because you want to do it again, because you loved watching that movie. So many situations. You can use this phrase in many situations. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Thank you for the emotes. I love that. Okay, Wes. Oh, great at work. Can you use otra vez also? Otra vez. Yes, but I would use a different verb for that. Usually when you use otra vez, you have just one verb. Comí otra vez. I ate again. Okay, so you have just, that's another way to say that you're doing something again. So you just have your verb, whatever it is. You can conjugate it, of course, just one verb. Comer, correr, estudiar, hablar, llamar, whatever verb you want, and then you add otra vez after. You will have to conjugate the verb. Yo comí, yo llamé, yo estudié. Usually it can be conjugated in different tenses, right? But the present tense, past tense, is really commonly used in those situations because you did something again. But you can do, or you maybe will have to do something again. So you can use different tenses. So don't forget, have your verb and then add otra vez. Comí otra vez. I ate again. Estudié otra vez. I studied again, right? Or trabajé otra vez. I worked again. Or trabajaré mañana otra vez. I will work tomorrow again. Okay, so yeah, it can be used in different situations, but technically, yeah, you can just have a verb and then otra vez. Great question. Wes, hola, you should ask everyone where they're from to help your YouTube algorithm. Oh, for sure. Where are you from? Where are you from, guys? You can share that for sure. You can, as I said before, you can ask questions. You can let me know where you're from. You can share examples. So if you share examples using volver a, that'd be pretty great. So feel free to do that. Okay. And welcome. Welcome, guys. Okay. Now let's talk about the next. You're from Ohio. Huh. Nice. It must be pretty cold, right? Man, maybe you have some snow? Perhaps. Okay, so let's continue. Let's see the phrase number three, número tres. So let's see. Terminar por. Terminar por. Terminar por. This is another interesting phrase. It's common. This is a more advanced phrase that you can use in Spanish. Terminar is a verb. Of course, this one right here. Terminar means to finish, to end, to conclude, or even to break up if we're talking about relationships, okay? If you're dating someone and you say, terminamos ayer. We broke up yesterday, okay? So terminar can mean quite a few things for sure. And terminar por is another great phrasal verb that means it's similar to, when you end up doing something, okay? So let's look at the meaning of this phrase. Let's see. To end up. So it's similar to saying to end up doing something. Now, por can be used, I would say you will likely use por when you want to say to end up doing something, terminar por, so the whole thing. But sometimes you don't have to, okay? And if you don't want to complicate things, you can just include por, but it can be a bit flexible. So let's look at some examples using terminar por. Essentially, you're just saying, hey, I ended up leaving because, I don't know, I had to go, or I ended up choosing this because it was something I liked or whatever. So when you end up doing something, that's the situation where you can use terminar por. Now, let's look at some examples using terminar por. Él terminó por irse temprano. Él terminó por irse temprano. This means he ended up leaving early. Yeah, I mean, that happens. If you're waiting, I don't know, if you're waiting for someone and that person didn't show up, then you can say, or you can just say, terminé por irme temprano. I ended up leaving early. Or if you just want to explain, hey, like he ended up leaving early, you can say, él terminó por irse temprano. So let's break this down. Let's see how this works. Él with an accent mark means he. Okay. Terminó por, here is the phrase that we're learning. Terminó por, present tense, terminó, past tense, already happened. Terminó por, ended up. Irse, man, irse temprano. You can even make this just one phrase. Irse temprano means leaving early, okay? So we have ir Ir is the verb. Se is the reflexive pronoun. Temprano, early. Temprano. Es temprano. It's early. So temprano by itself means early. Irse, well, we have irse, but you can have irme, which means you're referring that you are leaving early, or me, I'm leaving early. Or irnos, okay? Temprano, irnos temprano means we are leaving early, okay? So ir can work with reflexive pronouns when, talking about leaving early, okay? Irse temprano, leaving early, okay? So se, we're using se because we are talking about el, okay? So yeah, reflexive pronouns are everywhere in Spanish, everywhere. Okay, so the term is here. The term we're learning is here, right here. Ended up. Okay, so let's look at the next example using terminar por. Terminamos por. We have the phrase right there, right at the beginning. Terminamos por aceptar su oferta. Terminamos por aceptar su oferta. And this means we ended up accepting their offer. Muy interesante. Veamos cómo funciona. Let's see how this works. Terminamos por nosotros. Terminamos. We're not using nosotros. We're not saying nosotros. You could if you want to, but once again, we don't use personal pronouns all the time. So, terminamos por means we ended up doing something. And we have a second verb, which is not conjugated. So you leave it in the infinitive form. Aceptar. Okay, aceptar means accept, to accept. In this situation, in English, you need the gerund, but we don't need it in Spanish. Accepting, right? Su means their. Also means his or her. But in this situation, their. Oferta means offer. Okay? Terminamos por aceptar su oferta. We ended up accepting their offer. Now, here's a trick. Do you remember at the beginning I told you, when we started talking about this phrase, that sometimes people use por and sometimes they don't? If you don't want to complicate things, you can just say it all the time. Terminar por. Just remember, you will need a second verb. Terminar por trabajar. Terminar por aceptar. Okay? Terminar por comer. Okay, so you can do that. Just remember the second verb doesn't need to be conjugated. You leave it in the infinitive form unless you're adding a reflexive pronoun like we did here. But some people don't have por. But there is a difference. And here's the tricky part. For example, this one. Terminamos por aceptar. So you have that, right? Terminamos por aceptar. But you can remove por, get rid of por. But if you get rid of por, then you have to do something specific. You need to have a verb, of course, the second verb, but it has to be the gerund, okay? Aceptando. And if you don't have por, you will have to use the gerund for each verb that you use after terminar. If you want to say to end up, of course. Terminamos aceptando su oferta. And that means we ended up accepting their offer. Okay? So that happens when you don't have por. If you have por, once again, the second verb has to be in the infinitive form. Terminamos por aceptar. Okay, so that's a big difference right there. You have two options. Whichever you want to use, it's fine. But just remember that the second verb changes. Okay, so keep that in mind because you will have to do that if you end up not using por or when using por. Okay, so very, very good, very interesting. Remember, terminar por means to end up. Excellent, excellent. Any questions? Thank you for the emotes. That's awesome. Wes says, no nieve. No hay nieve. Me alegro. Solo frío. I mean, yeah. I think it's good if there's no snow because it looks beautiful. La nieve se ve hermosa, pero cuando manejas, when you have to drive and it's, the roads are frozen, that's not nice. That's not nice. Thank you for sharing, Wes. How did you come up with the name Sugar Astronaut? ¿Usted es golosa? I mean, sweet tooth, to the, not the other bad meaning. Oh, golosa. Okay, golosa. Okay. There's funny you mentioned that because, or you're asking that. Well, first, welcome, Greeny King. Sugar Astronaut is just a random name that I picked for the channel, not really a specific reason. And the funny thing is, I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't. But I think Sugar Astronaut is, I don't know, I kind of like how it sounds, but there is no specific reason. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. Some people, I've seen some people calling me Sugar only on this channel, which I don't mind. I don't mind. Sugar. But it's funny. It's funny. Sorry, I wish there was, I don't know, a nice meaning, a deeper meaning about this name, Sugar Astronaut, but there isn't. If you see one of my really one of my older videos, very almost the first videos that I have on this channel, there's an intro that says something like, this is, I don't even remember how it goes, but it's something about Sugar Astronaut. It's like no, I don't even know what it is really, but it's just a funny name that I came up with. No specific reason. It has no meaning really. No soy golosa. No. But you know what? I really like salty snacks. Me gustan las botanas saladas. Botanas saladas. Salty snacks. Man, salty snacks are great. Potato chips, man. Yes. Yes. But I mean, can you imagine if I named the channel Spanish Made Easy Potato Chips? I don't know. Potato chips astronaut. That sounds funny. Okay. Thank you for asking, Greeny. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. We have two more phrases. Two more phrases, and that is it, guys. That is it. Okay. So now the next phrase is, let's see what we have here. Pasar por, pasar por, pasar por. This has some meanings for sure, not only one, but it has, I would say, multiple. Yeah, but not too many. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you exactly how many meanings, but I'll try my best to show you the most common meanings. Okay, meanings to go through or to pass by. Okay, also it means to pick someone up. Okay. But let's talk about to go through. When you go through some situation, you can use this phrase, pasé por algo difícil. I went through something difficult. Or when you're passing by a place, you're walking by a place, you're driving by a place. This is a general term to say that you will pass or you passed by some place, or you're passing by as well. Yeah, don't forget that you can conjugate the verb, of course. You have the verb pasar. Pasar means quite a few things. It means to pass. Pásame la sal, pass me the salt. Okay, but it means to pass generally. Pass me the ball, just pásame la pelota. So it can mean that. It can mean, it can be used when you say what happened. ¿Qué pasó? Or pasar can also mean to happen. Okay, to spend time as well. For example, you can say, vamos a pasar el día en la playa. Let's spend the day at the beach, right? Or pasé la tarde leyendo. I spent the afternoon reading. Or, to hand something or give something to someone, like I said before, similar to pass, right? Pásame la sal, pass me the salt and whatnot. So it's an interesting verb. And let me see if this verb is regular or irregular. Pasar is a regular verb. So good news, everybody. Good news. Pasar is a regular verb, which means it follows all the grammatical rules when conjugating verbs in Spanish. So don't worry about specific conjugations or irregularities. Excellent. So that's good. Now, por, you need to include por. Por means by or for. And in this situation, obviously, it the literal translation, it really doesn't apply unless you say to pass by, right? But por can be used in many different situations, and it means for or by. Okay, it's a preposition as well, and yeah, it can be used in different situations. Now, let's look at some examples using pasar por. The first example is, pasamos por el parque de regreso. Pasamos por el parque de regreso. This means we passed by the park on the way back. Okay, this is something literal, something that someone is doing literally, passing by the park. So that's something good. I mean, parks are great. So You can use the verb pasar por if you're passing by, you're not staying at the park, you're just passing by, okay? So, pasamos nosotros, pasamos por. We don't need nosotros. You can say it. Nosotros means we, but we don't have it. We don't have it in Spanish. We don't use personal pronouns all the time. So pasamos por means we passed by. Present tense, it already happened. Past tense, okay? Pasamos por, we passed by. And then you add the place. El means the. Parque means park. It's not parque, okay? Because I know some people say queso to refer to cheese in Spanish. Queso, no. Queso, okay? So this is pretty much mute. You don't say u, okay? Parque, park. And de regreso is a phrase just by itself that means on the way back, okay? Or de regreso, you're just saying that you pass by, on your way back. You're not going somewhere, you're going your way back. Okay? And remember, de regreso can be used by itself and it means on the way back. For example, I can say estoy de regreso. I'm back. Estoy is a common word to say, something common to say in Spanish that means I am. Yo estoy. But you don't need yo. Forget about yo. You can say just estoy, and that means I am. Estoy contenta. I am happy. Estoy triste. I'm sad. Estoy de regreso. I'm back, okay? So de regreso is a very common phrase. I recommend you learn this because it's a really good one. And it means back or on the way back, okay? For example, you can also say estamos de regreso de las vacaciones. We are on our way back from vacation. So yeah, de regreso is a very, very good phrase that means back or on the way back. Now, let's look at another example using pasar por. We had it right at the beginning. The phrase pasamos por, we passed by, okay? Now, let's look at another example using this phrase. Ella pasó por una situación muy difícil. Ella pasó por una situación muy difícil. This means she went through a very difficult situation. Man, now we're talking about a situation. We're not talking about parks. We're not talking about passing by. We're talking about going through a situation. Okay? So let's break this down and let's see how pasar por works in this sentence. Well, first, we have the phrase here. Pasó por. Pasó por. Pasó, present tense, past tense. It happened already. So when you say ella pasó por or pasó por, just like that, that means she went through. Okay? She went through. Now, una means a. It's feminine. This is an indefinite article and it's obviously feminine. Una means a. Why? Because situation is feminine. We're talking about a feminine noun, la situación. I know it looks masculine because we have an O here, but it's a feminine noun. That's why we're using una situación, a situation. Okay? Now, we are saying that it's a very difficult situation. So, muy means very. This one doesn't have feminine nor masculine, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about grammatical gender there. Difícil means difficult, and also it doesn't have a grammatical gender. Those two words do not have a grammatical gender. Muy difícil, very difficult. Okay? So, ella pasó por una situación muy difícil. She went through a very difficult situation. Okay? So, remember, pasar por can mean to go through specifically situations, and also it means to pass by, literally passing by a place. Okay? Excellent. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Can you share some examples? Man, I'm drinking water and coffee. Agua y café. My water and some coffee. Man. Okay, let's continue. Let's talk about the last phrase. Phrase number 5. Frase número 5. Número 5. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Meterse en. Meterse en. Meterse en. Man. Okay, so this is literally also, it can have a literal translation, not literal, well, a literal situation rather, and also a figurative situation as well. I mean, yeah, I would say so. But don't worry, we're gonna talk about it. Meterse en. Meter is the verb. Meter, okay? Meter. And se is just a reflexive pronoun. So it's telling us here that you can use reflexive pronouns with this verb or this phrase. Meterse en. Okay? So meter means to put. Okay? For example, if you're gonna put some books in a bag, you can say, voy a meter los libros en la mochila. I'm going to put the books in the backpack. Or when you need to just put something, like, for example, clothes. If you have clothes outside, you can say, mete la ropa, or rather, outside of a closet, for example. Let's be more specific. If you have clothes outside of your closet, you can say, mete la ropa en el armario, put the clothes in the closet. Okay, so we're using the verb meter. Voy a meter, or mete. Okay, mete means just put something somewhere. Okay. Also, it means quite a few things. If you need to insert something, you can use meter. For example, mete la llave en la cerradura, insert the key into the lock. Okay, so yeah, it can mean a few things, and in this situation, let's see what meterse en means, because en means in, on, at, and it can be used with different verbs. And let's see what this means. It means to get into or to butt in. To butt in. Yeah, that happens, right? So if you get into a car, okay, or if you get on the bus, on a plane, in the house, to get in the house, you can just say, you can use this phrase. Rather, you can use this phrase in those situations. Or if you see someone butting in, you can also use this phrase in that situation. Remember, you have to conjugate the verb meter. And let me tell you that meter is a regular verb, so it follows the grammatical rules when conjugating verbs in Spanish. So don't worry about any irregularities. There's nothing, not you don't have to worry about that. Just, yeah, it's a regular verb. So that's good news. That's good news. Now, let's look at some examples using meterse en. Meterse en. Okay. Ella se metió en el carro y, I forgot to add y se fue. Ella se metió en el carro y se fue. So this is a very literal thing happening, So let me tell you the meaning of this. She got into the car and left. Very simple, very basic, very simple, and very useful. Very useful. Okay, so let's break this down. Let's see how meterse en works here. So first we have that phrase right here, metió en. Okay, metió is conjugated, of course. That's the verb meter, conjugated, present tense, past tense. It already happened. And we have se, which is, the reflexive pronoun. Se metió. Se can be used before the verb, just as any reflexive pronouns. You can place them before, or you can just add it to the verb, just like that. And it works. It works. It depends on the situation, what you want to say, but it's a common thing to either place them before or add them to the verb. Okay, so right after. So you say the verb, and then just like here, meterse, it becomes one word pretty much. You have the verb and the reflexive pronoun. Okay, so ella means she. Se metió en, got into el, the carro. Carro means car. Y, and ella se fue. Se fue. We don't need ella because we have it here already. And sometimes you don't even need this unless you want to be specific. So you can say se metió en el carro y se fue. Okay, and that means she got into the car and left. Or you can say ella se metió en el carro y se fue. She got into the car and left. Okay, so fue, when you say se fue is, you can even just memorize that phrase, se fue, and that means he left, she left, okay? Or you polite left. So she left. He left. You polite, singular as well, left. Okay, se fue. Él se fue. He left. Ella se fue. She left. Usted se fue. You, polite, singular, left. Okay, so that's a very, very good little phrase just to say, hey, he left. She left. And yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. So let's look at the second example, and that's going to be it, guys. That's the last example. The last example. Él siempre se mete en la conversación cuando estamos hablando. This is a bit more complicated. It's more advanced. Él siempre se mete en la conversación cuando estamos hablando. And this means he always butts in when we're talking. Okay, so let's break this down. Let's see how this works. Remember, meterse in also means to butt in. Now, él, he. Siempre means always. Él siempre, he always. Se mete en. So this is the phrase we're learning. We have se. This is the reflexive pronoun. We have meter right here, conjugated, and then en. We have it here. So let's include it. We need it. And that means butts in. But we are specifying la conversación. We're saying la conversación. We're specifying that he butts in when we're talking. Okay, so you can specify when using meterse en. You can use it if you, for example, get in trouble. So meterse en problemas. Problemas, I already talked about that phrase, and it's similar to this phrase, but we're specifying, right? You can say problemas, which means to get into trouble. Okay. So you can also specify that every time you're talking, when you're having a conversation, this person butts in, okay? So se mete en la conversación. So you can even remember this whole thing, meterse en la conversación, and that means to butts in when talking, okay? When having a conversation. So why are we having it twice here? Because we don't have conversation in here. We are just saying, when we're talking. Because this is a common term, just the whole thing, se mete en la conversación or meterse en la conversación. And it just refers to, butting in when talking, when having a conversation. That's it. Cuando, when. I know it's a bit redundant, but it's a common thing to say in Spanish. Cuando means when, and then estamos, nosotros estamos. We don't need nosotros. We need estamos, and that means we are. Okay? Hablando means talking. Okay? Él siempre se mete en la conversación cuando estamos hablando. He always butts in when we're talking. Okay? If you only had él siempre se mete en la conversación, then it's not saying anything about, hey, like when we are talking. It could be when they are talking or I don't know, any other person talking. But when we say when we're talking, we're specifying that it happens when we are talking, right? So that's why we need cuando estamos hablando, when we are talking. So just remember that it's a thing that you can say in Spanish for sure. You can, I'm just trying to see if you can avoid this. Se mete. If you remove la conversación, it sounds wrong. Él siempre se mete en cuando estamos hablando. No, it doesn't work. You need la conversación. You could say another way that I've heard before is you can not include en and you can just have mete, okay? Or meterse. Él siempre se mete cuando estamos hablando. He always butts in when we're talking. That's another way to say it, but it's vague because meterse or meter has so many meanings. So is it like, are you saying that this person is butting in, or this person is literally, getting, I don't know, in between the two of you when talking? It can be a little vague. But if you have meterse en la conversación, you're talking about someone interrupting your conversation, someone butting in when talking, okay, when having a conversation. And that's it, guys. That's it. Remember, meterse en means to get into, literally into a car or on the bus, on the train, on a plane, and so on, in a house, right? In a place. And also it means to butt in. To butt in. So interesting stuff. Do you have any questions? Hello, Lindsay. Siempre me meto en problemas cada vez que estudio el tiempo subjuntivo. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it can be tricky, huh? It can be tricky. Thank you for sharing. That's a great example. Great example. And yeah, 100%. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching and for just, staying until the end of the stream. I really appreciate that. And I hope you learned a few things about Spanish and that everything was clear and easy. I hope so. I'm trying my best. To do that here. Remember that I live stream every week. So if you don't want to miss out my streams, you need to click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button and turn all the notifications on so YouTube lets you know every time I live stream. And I'm saying this too because I don't have a specific day or time when I stream, because sadly I just stream whenever I can, and I wish it was more often, but for now this is what I'm doing. So if you don't want to miss out my streams, you know what to do. Also, give this stream a like if you like this lesson and remember that I have a Spanish community on Discord. You can join for free. The link is in the stream description down below. And that's it, guys. I'll be back next week. And yeah, thank you for watching. Muchas gracias por ver esta lección de español. Espero que hayan aprendido muchas cosas y nos vemos a la próxima. I'll see you next time, guys. Take care. Hasta luego. Adiós. Hasta la vista. Bye.